Hey everybody, it is Elsid932 on YouTube. Thank you for joining me. I am going to be doing a quick video I didn't expect to make. Didn't expect to make at all. And I started watching the 6888. This stars Kerry Washington as Major Charity Adams. Now, I was looking around all this information. This was a documentary before, but this movie on Netflix is directed by Tyler Perry. Okay, so let's read the synopsis before we get into it. But before we get really into it, please like, share, subscribe, and let me know what you think about my movie recaps. I was intrigued by this, and I'm like, let's do this. So this will also explain the thumbnail. It says the 6888, okay, is a 2024 American war drama film written and directed by Tyler Perry on the 6888th Central Postal Directory Battalion, an all black and all female battalion in World War II. The film features the ensemble cast of Kerry Washington, Ebony Obsidian, and so on and so forth. We even have some stars in here, other stars, that I didn't even recognize in some scenes. But we will get to that. So let me go on. The Wounded Warrior Project on their site says that the 6888 proved that no role was too small during World War II. The historic 6888 is the largest group of black servicewomen who served overseas during World War II. These remarkable women shattered barriers and played a pivotal role in ensuring that mail reached our American troops. That was on the Wounded Warrior Project. Okay, so the show looks into how U.S. Army sends more than 850 black women to England and France to clear out the backlog of wartime mail in 1945. These women had a backlog, and I know I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me wait before I tell you the huge backlog they had, okay? So it starts with, Kerry Washington. She, as I said before, the person she's playing, I hate to say character because it's not a character, it's a person that was true, living, breathing American hero, Major Charity Adams. Major Charity Adams is the major for an all African American female unit. Now we have all the characters from all over the country. Some young ladies were raised by preachers, some are highly educated, some are fleeing from circumstances at home. So we have a gamut of women. And I love the characters. I love that I know that person or know that person. That person represents me and what I would have been like. I love the characters of all the ladies, showing us that they came from all different walks of life. Now, the main character, a young lady, she lost her love. She was in love with this young man. Her name is Lena King. Well, Lena Derricott King. And because she lost this young man that she loved, she's black, he's white, he's also Jewish. He left to go serve his country in the military, and he told her to wait for him. He will be back. Apparently, he did not make it back. He was lost at war. And she went into the military to try and find him or find word of him. That is how her story began. Then we have, at the time, we have Franklin Roosevelt was the president, and Eleanor Roosevelt, his wife. She, saw that there was a lady standing outside the White House for the longest time, in the rain and everything. And when she questioned the lady is like, hey, I have sons in the military, and I've heard no word from them. So Eleanor Roosevelt takes up this question, and all the meanwhile, Kerry Washington, as Major Charity Adams, is training her troops. She's getting them ready. But we know things are going to come into play where, because it's the first Black woman in the military, they're under scrutiny. They're being trained. They're being taught everything they need to know to get into the battle lines. But Major Adams does not receive any orders. Even the white female troops are going out into service, and she's receiving no orders. So what she does as a great major is, I think at the time she was a captain, it was just train the girls, the ladies, so that when it is time, they are definitely ready. And boy, were they ready. So when Eleanor Roosevelt takes this up, she does meet up with Mary McLeod Bethune. We will recognize that name, as a college is named after her, very prestigious one. And they tell General Holt, who is not in favor of having folks of color in the military, they let him know, like, hey, there's this Major Adams. She could take it on. Give her those orders. So Major Adams at this time, every day or week, she is regularly going to her commanding officer asking for orders, not getting any. But she has disrespected, her entire battalion is disrespected, and she marches into her commander officer's office, and he's like, are you done? And I was horrified. I'm like, dude, she is trying to bring a legitimate complaint through the chain of command. He's like, you got orders. And that stops her in her tracks. He said, you're not to open those orders until you're on the plane halfway to your destination. So the battalion, though, is on a private vessel, okay? The girls are on a ship going across seas, and I cannot imagine going through that. Not only that, Kerry Washington opens the envelope and realizes that they have orders of where to show up, but they do not have war orders from the War Department. So she's like, something is wrong here. Everybody else has got 2 letters. I've got 1. She goes there where General Holt is, and General Holt is talking about how he does not think that not only women, but these sisters, these Black women, should not be in the military, and they couldn't possibly do anything of substance. So Major Adams finds out that they are managing the mail, and the disappointment on her face is startling. Startling. She's like, really? We were sent here for mail? We want to be on the front lines. We're here for war. We're here for battling. We're here to really support. While they were at the reception for all the other military ranking officers, she's like, wait a minute, how much mail? And where is this mail? And they gave her 6 months, which she thought was generous. General Holt said, you got 6 months to handle this mail. She's like, yes, 6 months is plenty. Plenty. Until they go and they realize they're at the warehouse. And there was a backlog of nearly, hold on to your socks, 17 million pieces of mail between soldiers and their families that are just sitting in a warehouse. I said, let me say it again because it startled me. 17 million pieces of mail between soldiers and their families. Now keep in mind the young lady I talked about that is the main character here, Lena Derricott King. She is looking for a letter because the young man who was her love, who perished, he was to write to her, and she was just there to find him, and now she's trying to find a letter from him to see if he did think of her or if he did write her. So it became too much for her in one scene, and all the girls had to support her, and she had to come clean as to why she was there. Many ladies, as I said, was there to escape circumstance or to get an education and go further. So they do find a letter from him. Her major, Kerry Washington, her major Adams, did give her leave to find where he was laid to rest. And it was a very touching moment. It gave her the closure she needed to move on with her life. General Holt came one time for an inspection. And that to me was, oh, I got as hot as Major Adams did because he wanted to inspect all the soldiers. Now, imagine this 17 million pieces of mail. And I already told you how many women, 850 women, were in this battalion to go through all of that. But they went through it. Day shift, night shift, they went through it. There were packages that they said the vermin ate through the addresses. The military was not telling them where soldiers were. They were not telling them, the number or location. So they have to figure it out. Also, if the addresses are chewed through, they got to figure out where things are going or coming from. So they had a system. Clothing, they could kind of tell textiles where it came from in the U.S. Sweethearts from the U.S. would send their soldiers some of their perfume. So if they smelled it, they know, oh, it's coming from here, and it's most likely this soldier. Also, soldiers were sent mail via their nicknames, Bubba, and so forth. And it's like, how do we find them? But the soldiers were also helping. But they were putting the patches from their unit on their letters, kind of like telling their family without saying it. And when that was figured out, the ladies were able to figure out where the soldiers were, where they were coming from, and send mail. Now, one of the things that they also had a battle cry, the ladies did, and that came from their Major Adams. No mail, low morale. I don't think people understood the significant impact of a piece of mail or communication from home. Like, when I was discussing it, it was like, well, why mail? And, why didn't they get the mail sorted out? And I'm like, they didn't think it was important. The majors and high-ranking officials didn't think the mail was that important. But families were complaining. Families were having an outcry. And the soldiers had low morale because they're thinking the families aren't sending them anything. And the families are like, the soldiers are not writing. So even though, and we've all been in this position, even though it may not seem important to us, doesn't mean it isn't important to the person sending or receiving. So the ladies, let's get it back to the movie. The ladies got all 17 million pieces of mail done within that 6-month period. You want to know how quickly they got it done? They got it done in 90 days. 90 days they went through 17 million pieces of mail. I cannot imagine. And let's not even talk about their conditions. Y'all know that they were not in the best of conditions. They were in a dilapidated school, and they made it. They're like, hey, Kerry Washington had a line. She was like, hey, our people have made homes out of shacks. This ain't no different. And we gonna get it together. Whew, it was a wonderful movie. It was well done. I like to see it. I love when history kind of jumps off of the pages and is in our face on the television. I love it. That causes us to go research more, know more about these women. And though they did not receive accolades, were not told, thank you for your service then, that was certainly rectified. Remember, this was 1943. This is after Pearl Harbor. This is after a whole lot of other things that have happened with the U.S. military. But these ladies did something remarkable. And isn't that always us ladies? Can we celebrate us ladies always doing something remarkable even with the struggles we're given? And I love this. So I would like you to please go watch it. I hope I'm encouraging you to see it. I don't listen to the naysayers about the show at all because I'm sorry. It was a wonderful, wonderful movie. Okay. Now let's go on. As I said, she went from captain to Major Adams. I believe she ended her military career as a Lieutenant Colonel, Charity Adams, which loved for her. But I am so glad that the ladies did not think that, you know, doing the mail was a menial job. I know they thought of it at first, but it is a task you're given. And it's a task that you can get through. And another line they said was, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So thank you for joining me. This quick recap and review of this movie, I really enjoyed it. And I hope you too will go and watch 688. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel.